in spring, just before NLC as well. How they ended up in UKLC, I don't know, but that happened. So there's definitely still strong points from the side of Singularity, but it's just when you put that strong point up against the side of Astralis, they do look a little bit weaker.
So put the show on the road. We get Astralis versus Team Singularity. Champion Select is on. And also, you were talking about Astralis and how clean they were, but there's room for improvement. I want to talk about, like, really fast, the fact that putting X7 near Astralis, so X7 only died 3 times, Astralis 5. But the thing is, you look at the time that X7 took to finish the game, and you look at Astralis, and it's so far apart. So Singularity might have a big shot.
I think it was a completely different game.
Yes, by far.
One was clean and methodical. I think X7 went straight at it. They were much faster about it. Now, looking here, because specifically Singularity is on the red side, I'm expecting an R5 Tattoo pick, something that he can potentially carry with. They are getting rid of all the hard late scaling sort of composition-wise champions, such as the Ziggs that can stall the game out. Crispec picked it in his last match as well. They're getting out Mutters, of course, Oriana, that he was stellar with in pressing that R button. Beautifully done.
Caitlin's up.
Jinx is up.
Yeah, but it's Caitlyn.
Come on.
You B1 Caitlyn for sure.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We saw in the LCK, I think it was, today, there was a Caitlyn matchup, hard poke matchup, into a Karma matchup. That's exactly where I wanted to end up with. And anything that went together with the Caitlyn ended up really suffering. The Caitlyn / whatever else poke champ lane really suffered versus the Karma. And I believe here that also it's going to be the same situation with Jinx and Karma. Of course, it was an Ezreal plus Karma, so it's much easier to evade all this damage that the Caitlyn Lux lane could throw your way. But with the speed ups and the shields from the Karma, you can negate a lot of that damage.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Karma is that it's something that allows your AD carry to deal with the extra range that Caitlyn usually have and the poke. And it's something that allows for a Jinx, for example, to be a bit more mobile. But I really like the looks pick into it. While you do get the movement speed out of the shielding, there's still so much that needs to be shielded from this lane that you might not always have it for a line binding. You might have to dodge the E of the Lux. You might have to dodge the Pilt of a Peacemaker. There's so many things that gives you room to suddenly use this. So when you take a look at the power picks of Astralis right now, Caitlyn, Victor, you can already tell it's about playing around with the ground here between these champions. There's so much room to maneuver, or room for Singularity to try and maneuver around with these skill shots.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the Jinx pick here. I think it's extremely dangerous. You're playing with fire, you're playing with traps, you're playing with bindings, you're playing against Victors, you're playing against Ketuls. There's just so much ground control around the Caitlyn that I don't necessarily think the Jinx should ever be able to move forward. And there's also picks like the Renekton that thankfully got banned. There's still the Camille that we have yet to see going further into the game that can reach the backline really easily. Let's not forget the Hecarim. The junglers have not yet been picked still. So there's like so much backline dive. And at this point, seeing both hyper carries, I feel Caitlyn is much better protected.
I find these bans so interesting as well, because right now, if I'm Astralis, I don't actually think I want carries. I don't think I want Renekton, and I don't think I want Camille. I think I want the likes of a tank like an Ornn right now that can help you create this space between these champions you have right now. You're most likely going to be blind picking your top lane as well, because the 4th pick that should come in here from the side of Singularity should just be the jungler. You save the last pick for your top laner to make things easier for you. So I'm a bit curious for these bans, but maybe Astralis, maybe SNG is just reading the room and no Carlson wants to play a carry, but I'm a bit curious about it.
Yes. I love seeing the Hecarim. X7 yesterday played it against a long-range composition. You need something to dive with the Hecarim in the backline. Something that comes straight to mind, again, is going to be the Wukong. Tattoo played it in his previous game, day 1. He did great with it. First, of course, he has to see the matchup, but Wukong pretty much does decently into any melee matchup you're going to put him in, unless it's going to be something with range. Here, I wouldn't even mind seeing a Jace, so to speak. There's so much poke coming in from the Caitlyn, Lux, Victor, where you're going to poke away your opponents, and then they're going to have to retreat from any objective that you have. But
Frontline. I think frontline is just necessary as well. And as you can see right now, loads of disengage options as well. If a Hecarim is joining in, you got the kick to kick them away. I don't even think you need that as an engage. And you got the suplex from the set now as well. So not only are you creating space in terms of damage from abilities, now you're physically also creating space by literally just pulling the enemy AD carry or whoever you want to take and dunk them in the opposite direction.
So at this point is the last pick.
Nah, it has to be.
Okay, we got debate. Oh, we did.
Oh my God, you're right.
It is the Karma top, the special.
Okay, I actually really love what Singularity have going on for them. I see a bunch of shields. I really like that they swap the Karma straight into a solo in which you can abuse the set and get priority top lane. What I do not like is that they're putting all their eggs in two carries that take a while to scale, whilst the Caitlyn is gonna be very lane dominant from the get-go. Playing double poke scenario into a Thresh is gonna massively suffer, bot lane is gonna massively fall far behind, and then you don't necessarily have Tatooine on something that he can hit back on the other side of the map, you have him on a Karma.
And I think it's going to come down to early prio now. I think you're completely right. They've made it a bit more easy for themselves in terms of what are we playing for.
Yeah.
But it's also, if this does not go well in the early game, we lose. Because if you are last on the objective against a Victor, against a Caitlyn that's been allowed to go around fed, then it's going to be difficult. And I also think you made bot lane a bit more difficult to play now. The Karma is not in the bot lane. So Lux gets more value now in terms of you can even catch the Thresh. It doesn't have to be the AD that gets caught.
So this is it. This is the champion select. This is going to be action-packed as well. I want to see explosions. I want to see Caitlyn. I want to see Jinx. I want to see Karma trying to attack Seth, but Seth doing something. This is an amazing game to start it off. I want to see explosions with a Michael Bay background, and I want to see that custody motion, Viperoon. I want to see you scream, back to you.
I'm saving my energy for game 5. There'll be screams later if things kick off. We're not shouting, we're not bursting eardrums just yet. But thank you very much, Des Jamada. Imagine thinking that it's a bait with the fresh hover when it's Yepe. How this man loves himself a fresh.
All right, so the UKLC Jamada and me from last year is very excited to see Yepe back on the Thresh. However, obviously very controversial. I think the fact that you've now moved this Karma to the top side, okay, great, top lane matchup, whoop-de-doo, Karma gets prio in a lane that probably wouldn't matter anyway. Now you put Thresh in a situation where he's probably going to be super uncomfortable in this lane, and Hecarim doesn't really want to gank too much. I feel like Porp wants to kind of just farm this one out, hit 6, and then start finding action. The reason why you pick up Thresh in this situation, if you ask me, is for the setup to try and abuse this Caitlyn Lux lane. But when you've got, Lee Sin, who's very easily going to match the early gank prowess of a Hecarim, I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. I think what it can do in the later stages is definitely deny some of the entry opportunities for Set and Lee Sin in some of the team fights, but the lane is definitely where I'm going to worry. And I think when you're laning against such proficient laners in Chrisberg and Wendelbo on such a strong lane duo like Caitlyn and Lux, you're definitely asking for a lot from Singularity, but they can probably make it work.
I'm fascinated to see if they can do so and what the top lane matchup's going to look like as well. As you said, it might not be the most vital in terms of the result of the lane, Karma into Set, but just the dynamics of it and where the junglers end up wanting to be. And of course, we've got a Victor once again. Still no wins for Victor in this league as it lost last time out, but we'll crest a better time on it into Corki. Muta playing a very different style of champion to the one we saw him on yesterday, but definitely someone to keep an eye on because yesterday, or Monday even, Muta was the star player for Singularity.
Yeah, and it was off the back of all those Orianna shockwaves this time around on the Corki, so a little more hyper carry based. Of course, Corki hit that 2-item spike. And then you start to really blow things up, get the package as well. And I think package backline access can actually be a pretty big deal this game when you have the Hecarim who eventually will want to dive from time to time. Following that up can definitely be very, very dangerous for the likes of Chrisberg or Victor and the Caitlyn too. So yeah, like we saw just there, even eating a binding level 1, no opportunity to actually proc the aftershock for Hepe, you can just lose half your HP. So imagine you stack, another ability from Lux, and then on top of that a trap. You probably just get 100-0'd and die. And this is where things start to get really oppressive underneath the tower. Yes, you have to respect the death sentence just a tad, right? Just so you don't potentially eat an all-in. But if you can do that, you're always going to be the ones of pressure. You're always going to be the ones of priority. And that's why you definitely have to worry.
That's a nice death sentence into Flay. Wendell has to flash. The Ignite goes down as well. As Blake going to flash forward. Can they get the kill? Fuzzbot going over to Singularity. It's turned around with Chrisberg grabbing one. And now it's going to be the Jinx versus Caitlyn. Will the villain be apprehended? Yes, Chrisberg with the double. Taxa's the one that turns up first, so no jungle intervention. Astralis, good start.
Honestly, a little bit of hesitation here from the SMG bottom, from the SMG AD carry. I feel like you can just commit. You just got excited. You just got your passive. Yes, Chrisberg still has flash, but if you just stay in minigun range, I feel like with Lethal Tempo, you will out DPS Caitlyn at this early stage of the game. Unfortunately, decides to go for the retreat, gives Chris Berg the opportunity to chase down. And now that's a Caitlyn with 2 kills at pre-5 minutes. Gonna base, gonna have a BF sword most likely, and things are just gonna get really, really difficult, or rather a Nukovo, to really deal with. And it all comes from the back of that death sentence, which, yes, at first looks good. You're always gonna trade 1-for-1, it's always gonna be the AD carries. But I mean, look at this, I'm not sure. I just feel like Jinx can definitely win this 1v1. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misjudging here. But yeah, back away. You give Chris Berg the opportunity to kite forward and get more auto attacks in. And now he's coming back actually with B-Groove, so I feel like that's going to be even more oppressive. All of the extra movement speed to sort of kite around the death sentence, kite around the auto ranges, and of course all of the additional attack speed.
And of course, being able to jump in, get a little bit of poke down with that longer attack range, and then back away before Jinx has time to react is going to be really, really useful for Chris Berg. 2 kills very early on. Now it's a case of what can be done with this. Astralis, do your game plans change with that early advancement if you're on either team?
No, I mean, I think for SNG, maybe now, like playing through the bottom side, you know, you need to either shut down this Caitlyn right now while you still can, or you have to suffer it and try and find another avenue in if you're SNG. If you're Astralis, no, you're fine. You're doing exactly what you're planning to do from the get-go here. And yeah, I just feel like these 2 free kills is going to accelerate what the Caitlyn's going to want to do in this lane, which is definitely just try and look for some bully opportunities. Porp shadowing the bottom side just in case maybe Taxa comes for a gank at this particular opportunity, but Taxa's all the way on the top side, so won't find a counter gank in this regard.
So all action in the bot lane, no action anywhere else. We're watching this top side, the Karma into the set. Set has a little bit more farm than Tattoo does. Is that normal? Because ranged into melee, you'd normally think that'd be the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, Set's one of those champions that can actually be pretty okay.
Actually gonna have to hold that point. I baited you as Cress is being caught out. Will flash away, the death sentence doesn't land. The stun is good, and Victor gets away.
Yeah, does blow the flash though, so makes a gank from Porp now once he hits that level 6 mark. All but an eventuality here. Should be a pretty free pickup as you go. Trade from Carlson onto Tattoo here. Will be traded back with all of these autos. Grasp Karma, the name of the game here, so going to be really, really frustrating. I really want to know what the build's going to be actually. Just because some of the new tank items could maybe provide a slightly more irritating version of tank Karma to the one that we're used to over the last couple of years. As Porp maybe eyeing up a top side visit, but sees that he is spied out on a ward, so gank likely averted here. And it seems like Astralis on the bottom side, knowing now that Porp is on the top side, will try and start this one up. Gank, a little bit overforced. Carlson should be able to walk this one away. Barely loses any HP for it, and might have to base if they decide to stack the wave and maybe for a dive. But I mean, mid lane, Muta.
He has to flash away, but he will survive the all-in from Cress at level 6. Of course, Corki doesn't really have that same all-in level 6, but Porp has hung around. Carlson doesn't need to be careful, has just got that ultimate in his pocket as well, though. Getting some punches down, forcing the flash away from Tattoo on the Karma, and no ultimate even needs to be burnt. Carlson just completely outplays him.
Yeah, honestly, if I was Carlson, I would have maybe been feeling myself. Ult the Hecarim, go in on top of the Karma who just blew a flash. Maybe you find the 2v1. Just because of all the regen that you have from passive, maybe even eye up a 2v1 entirely there. But yeah, does his job, survives the dive, gets to his flash, and gets all of the CS. Crisis averted in that sense. And okay, Astralis, not only did they win out on the bottom side by getting the dragon, they also went out on the top side dive. So SNG, unlike yesterday, or rather Monday, we're going to do that a lot, I feel like, over the course of the split.
Yeah,
unlike Monday,
it's been a week.
Yeah, it's been a week. Unlike Monday, actually a little more proactive, trying to find some plays here and there. It felt like in their game versus Veneer, it was a lot more, you know, just kind of sitting around, waiting, not really doing too much. This time in the opening 8 minutes or so, they've definitely been looking for opportunities to try and push a lead.
And we were talking with Nightmare a little bit earlier on about how this team liked to play out, because he's seen some of these players along. We have to hold that point because Carlson and Taxa are trying to take this Karma down. Tank Karma or not, you die just the same, and Taxa secures the kill.
Yep, Taxa, free as you like, no flash on the Karma, too much setup between a Lee Sin and a Set, so that's a pretty free pickup, and right on time for the Herald, which is obviously the goal here. Crashing that top wave, Carlson should probably stick around, yeah, cancel that recall. Just to secure this Herald for now. And even if Porp does have Muta in his back pocket here, I just feel like it's a contest that you can't really make work. Muta would have had to have still had TP based and then got packaged to maybe make this contest a thing. But this should just be a pretty free Herald here. Wendelbo also comes up from base just to ensure that this Herald is a certainty. And SNG, if they do decide to walk in now, it's going to be a little bit too late, as Astralis talent do pick up this Herald.
Yepe dodges away from the snare, but gets slowed up and takes the poke a little bit to the left, and he would have potentially gone down. And this is something that Singularity needs to be a little bit careful on. It's something we saw a little bit in the last game, that certain members maybe overstepped just 1 or 2 steps forward, 1 or 2 steps to one side, where they can get taken down. And for some of these players who haven't necessarily played at NLC level before, of course, Singularity taking their players from the university scene, some of them have a lot less experience than players, especially on the likes of this Astralis roster. You've got Chrisberg, you've got Crest, you've got Taxa.
It's night and day. It's jungle through support.
The opposite,
like,
isn't it?
It is quite literally night and day, right? Taxa, Crest, like you're listing them all. The only person here with very little experience on the Astralis talent lineup is Carlson in the top side, and I mean, they wouldn't have kept him for no reason. He's very clearly a very talented young individual who, you know, being surrounded by so many experienced players is only going to learn, only going to grow, and only going to get better.
That's exactly what they were saying in the interview yesterday. They were like, we came in, Carson, 16, we were all a bit like, is this kid actually that good? But then they played with him and they were like, yeah, he is that good. He's going to be insane in a couple of years' time. And he's had the complete run of the lane in the top side in both games we've seen him in so far. Batoska and Tatu, maybe not the premium top layers that we've got in this league, potentially with expectation going into this one, but it's certainly a great performance to start off, and that's a nice engage coming through from Yepe. Follow-up through from Port. Can they catch out? They have got Chrisberg. He's gonna go down. BK picking up the shutdown. Taxa in the wings, though, looking to get off the Yepe. Will be able to secure the kill. And with Port being snared up, Taxa's thinking about it, but decides against. Does have the Rift Herald in pocket, but it's just gonna be a 1-for-1 exchange.
Yep, Taxa comes down, trades out the kill found on to Chrisberg here, as get a replay of it. Landon not actually needed in the end. Port still just runs all the way in. Box is flashed away from, but you can't flash away from the onslaught of shadows from Hecarim here. Shut down, given over to the Jinx crucially, and Hepe space checks into Lee Sin. Nothing more to say about that one. And nice setup from SNG, and this is what I was talking about. Once you hit that level 6 mark, once Port actually has the ability to, you know, close the gap even more, it is very, very difficult for the likes of a Lux and a Caitlyn to actually survive some of that gank, just because of all of the setup. And again, that, you know, going back to the draft, question marks around swapping the Karma up to the top side, putting the Thresh on the bottom side. This is why you do that, but unfortunately they haven't really been able to press more than this one time. We'll have to see now, you know, whilst Chrisberg doesn't have summoners, whilst Wendelbo doesn't have summoners, whether or not Porp and Co can actually make a return gank down here, a return visit, and that's when you start to actually, you know, bear some harvest from these ganks. Because right now, Kate, nice, you've damaged the lane a little bit. You've got your Jinx sort of on parity, or actually completely on parity now with Chrisberg, but it's about going that extra length, make sure Caitlyn can't take over the mid game.
Here on the top side, going to be grabbing some plates, and actually, even with the kills and the objectives going the way of Astralis, things are pretty even in terms of gold. Yepe might have stepped up. Wendell holding onto the snare, going to be dodged out by Fresh, but can't dodge the kick, and he goes down. Another kill going over to Astralis. Taxa the third of the game. Teleport coming up. Frisbee game will flash away. Ace in the hole will not be enough. Rift Herald dropped down as Muta comes through to clear out the minions. But this could be a tower going down quite easily. The charge won't get the execute, but with Caitlyn, with Lee Sin, with Lux, can Muta defend?
Nah, it looks like they will leave it at one tower plate. I feel like even though there was the package, I'm not sure that was something that was actually disturbing Astralis' want or need to take down that tower. They just say, better off getting the resets, allow Chrisberg to catch this wave by himself, and then maybe we look to send him. Also, maybe we want to go back bot, of course, because we do have the dragon on the map, so maybe eyeing up that one instead for Astralis. So far, both the neutrals in their favor. Hepe, I won't say in danger, but eating up. Yeah.
He's taking up a lot of time, but his health bar's going lower and lower. Will survive, and as BK's there as well. Taxa running on through, looking to catch people out and protect. And again, it's not going to be a Hextech Soul as we see the dragon fighting Porp second of the game. We're just saving it up for last game of the day. Don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine. But Porp going to be forced to back away. That dragon does a lot of damage, and the slow is pretty nutty as well. So not feeling confident as Astralis retake the river.
Yeah, Astralis retake the river, and I think with that retake, all of this control now around the mid lane, it should be all but theirs. You can see Priory in the bottom side, Priory about to be gained in the mid lane. And even if it isn't, you can see Mira and Porp, they're more focused on trying to secure this blue buff, which will actually be stolen away from them. And actually, with Taxa smiting that means there won't be another smite for around another 45 seconds. So probably going to play away from the dragon unless they know it's entirely secure. And they are just going to hover Chrisberg here as he takes down this first tower, and that's 610 gold into the Caitlyn's back pocket. Now they know the dragon's secure, most likely. They just get the staff and they will take it down. Observer, if I could actually ask for a gold hover, just to see where Caitlyn is compared to Jinx, because she has to be at least... Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say about 750 at the very least, but it's actually a lot higher, 1,000 gold. The difference between these two AD carries. Chrisberg funneled nicely, got those 2 kills early on in the 2v2. You can almost kind of say gift wrapped by SNG. And now all of these tower plates as well. Caitlyn could potentially be a pretty big menace, and he's got a very, very fed Lee Sin to ensure that any diving threat from the Hecarim is immediately dealt with quite quickly.
14 minutes, plates fall off. Jamada quickly, while there's a lull. Chemtech Dragon is on the
It's happened again!
What's happening, Jamada? Talk us through it, quickly.
I mean, no, we got it in that game. The Chemtech Dragon.
Yeah, but you don't know what we...
All right. For anyone that's
if people are just joining us, Astralis fans, Singularity fans.
Yeah, so if you are not familiar with what the Chemtech Dragon does, well, I will tell you right now. It gives you a little bit more attack speed depending on your missing HP. And if you, of course, hit that soul, the very infamous soul at the moment, you do get the zombie form after death, kind of a mini G8, and then you get to play the game for an extra 4 or 5 seconds. As Hepe, actually, it's almost a full combo, but doesn't really lose much of his HP for it. And of course, that soul, very, very oppressive. And if Astralis are able to secure that one super early on, the game, it almost stops being League of Legends at that point, because you're playing effectively a 5v10. And things get really, really tricky to deal with for the side of SNG or any team that has to really bear down against a Chemtech Dragon.
Could lead to the first win for Victor if Chris manages to pick that one up.
Okay.
So.
Inflated stats, right? Like, come on, Astralis, top-end team, SNG, you know, definitely a team.
Oh, yeah, they get the engage on though. Wendell in a lot of trouble. Gonna run out the back, flash out the back, and the ultimate comes on through, tacks the kicks, and secures the first kill of the fight onto Paul. Singularity get turned around. Carlson marauding forwards, looking for something. Muta on the bot side, not interested in getting involved. Crest looking for SPK, won't be able to find the kill, but a lot of damage onto the Jinx. And everyone on the top side manages to make it away, but Astralis once again take the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Gorborg on the desk, his one request of Astralis talent was slightly faster paced gameplay, and I think perhaps they heard him on the desk, heard his wish here, as I will say it is technically SNG who start this one up. They find the hook onto Wendelbo, feel like they can burst him down, but unfortunately he just has the backup there and ready. And attacks up, comes in, kicks Porp in the face, gets one final war attack off, and of course Carlson was also here, does force out a flash from Tetsuya. Get that tower for Chrisberg, who moved lane to lane, but take that tower top, take that tower, and now moving into the mid lane. A lot of chip damage done by Krez, you'd imagine is finished up by Chrisberg in the next couple of minutes, and Astralis, no herald to worry about for now. So Dragon, 2 minutes time, they'll send Krez to the bottom side, they'll have him secure the bottom lane priority there, and they should play around this mid lane of Caitlyn, who quickly approaching her second item here, Lord Dominance.
There's a herald to be worried about. It's currently in the pocket of Porp. But we'll have to see if they can use that effectively or not, and to what Astralis is going to do. Just quick shout out to Taxa. He's playing very well. Taxa's a good League of Legends player. That's my analysis. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, no problem. There you go.
Doesn't get hooked by MA.
Oh my goodness.
What? Ace in the hole is going to be taken by Fresh. He puts down the lantern a little bit late, so it doesn't actually go into the shield. But Astralis, they're looking for more plays. They want to be proactive. And this is brilliant. This is perfect from what we see in, as you said, about Google. Because I was questioning whether in the game they played yesterday, were they really measuring the game correctly, or were they just kind of not good at being proactive and having to wait for the Ricky to kind of wear down and not have the tools in their comp anymore. But this game is showing Astralis clearly know how to play against compositions, but also know how to play their own, which is really, really good for the region moving forward, because this means that this development team, which is only going to get better throughout the split, you've got to imagine, is already doing so many things correctly.
Yeah, I think development team may be a strong term. Definitely for Carlson.
Carson's developing, and Cress is just there yes, academy.
If anything, it's SNG that are the development team, right? They're the team, with these young university players that are trying to get all of this experience. I mean, against the lineup like Astralis talents, it's a pretty good matchup to maybe learn a thing or two here as Pepe kick flashed by Taxa. I guess they really didn't want Pepe to play the game for this dragon fight, so he's going to be dead, not available for this dragon. And yeah, I think mid lane tower now just going to be the natural target off the back of that pick. And they should be able to transfer that into Chemtech Dragon, unless Porp has a thing or two to say about it.
Chrisberg, nice flash away. The set's going to ult himself out as well. Nice play from Porp to dodge out of that one. And while that was okay from Singularity, they're not going to have any opportunity to contest this dragon, as Tax is already there. It spawns up now, and it should be an easy take for Astralis.
Yeah, it should be an easy take indeed. Tax is already on it. Herald summoned, I think, aiming at the top side. Yeah, top side. However, I feel like Astralis, if they really want to, have enough time to answer that. If you were to ask me. Maybe they don't, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Herald dropped by Port. And for now, Astralis Talent in a very, very strong position to pick up this Chemtech Soul super early on, 24 minutes in the game, give or take. And they found another pick.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do there. Tati is the victim. Chrisberg is the killer. But on the top side, Singularity might look for a second charge. Carlson is there to defend it somewhat. But on the bottom side, Astralis managed to take a tower of their own and will look to reset. So Muta and Porp do need to be careful.
Yep, do need to be. But I suppose, you know, consolation prize for SNG, they find one bit of gold through that Herald. But Astralis still pretty staunch control across the map. It's going to be very difficult for SNG to unseat this for now. Corki still a little whiles away from a second Ion. Of course, Key working towards, I believe, a Runans with that build path. So we'll get there eventually, but it's just going to take a little while before this Jinx and Corki are online. And once they are there, maybe they can try and stand toe-to-toe with the Victor, with the Caitlyn. But Chrisberg and Krez, they are so strong right now. 3-1-4 on Chrisberg. Whilst, you know, Krez doesn't necessarily have the highest amount of kill participation, Ludens plus a needlessly large rod in his inventory. Victor's very, very strong right now. And if he gets access to any of these squishy members on SNG, they won't be able to play out these team fights whatsoever.
20 minutes into this game, Baron on the Rift. Astralis with a commanding gold lead, over 5,000, and looking to take another fight before potentially moving to the objective. Muta has the package and has still not been involved in any kills at all, which, you know, just chilling, waiting for the opportune time to strike. And for Singularity, that might be sooner rather than later. They do need to be careful, though, because Astralis are just so strong. They're looking to try and get an engagement onto someone. They find the backline. Muta onto Wendell, grabs the kill. First of the game, so much damage. Porp goes forward, but gets taken down immediately as the fight will continue 4v4. Tax goes low. Muta on the side is doing a lot of work, but Astralis aren't interested in him as much as grabbing everyone else. Cress ebbing and flowing, cannot find anything. Needs to be careful as Vige is getting free fires into the back line. Cress doesn't go down. Victor sidesteps again. But that's a fair fight. That's an even one. And Singularity once again transition into the mid game with a decent performance.
Yeah, we spoke about Corki as well, hitting that 2-iron mark as well, the Jinx, but she wasn't quite here. But it's all about Muta anyway, who found the Ravenous Hydra, had the package, came in, obliterates Wendell. But I mean, just watch the replay. I don't really have to say anything over it. Just, what is it, Q-O-O-R? Gone. Oh, not allowed to play League of Legends, Wendell. Even Flash, but there's just nothing you can do about it. Hawks engage a little bit too over-eager to try and get more found from the capitalization of that pick, and because of that, dies. Unfortunately, 2 days back-to-back team fighting hasn't quite been Port's strength so far. Hopefully, you will find a little bit more success in this game at the very least, as more rockets just goes wide on Cress. If you find that kill, maybe even high up a Baron, honestly, if you're feeling wise enough to try and bring in Astralis, try and pick up more kills in that situation with a numbers advantage. But for now, walk away with what you have to feel like is a successful fight.
Yeah.
I think at this point, when you're this far down in sort of pressure, oh, okay, hello. When you're this far down in pressure, I think going practically even, you can feel pretty comfortable walking away from it. But SNG, you have to do a little bit more. You have to put those, you know, finishing touches on these next couple of team fights if you are to find success. And you've got, you know, 90 seconds until this dragon. You're not going to have package available, and that's a very crucial thing for Astralis, because that package backline access with a Hecarim on top of it would have been the biggest threat. So now Astralis, they might have a bit of a freebie into this next dragon.
And if Astralis can get a freebie dragon, that's a freebie dragon soul. And from the win rates, that's a freebie dragon game, from what we've been seeing so far with this one.
You know, I was having a chat with a friend a few weeks ago during during preseason. We was talking about the Soul win rates in solo queue. Now I can't remember the exact like sort of average for a Soul win rate. It's sitting somewhere in the high 70s, right? But
Yeah.
Chemtech Soul has effectively, you might as well just call it a 9% in solo queue. Kind of crazy, as you would imagine. A Soul that literally revives you from death, as SNG. Should he find a death sentence onto Carlson? Well, it's not going to do too much. So yeah, Astralis, if they find this with their lead, you would expect they would convert into a win here. So SNG have to do everything in their power to try and deny this dragon away, because Chemtech, it's a very powerful Soul. And it just makes the game too hard, you feel, to deal with.
The Singularity holding out in the mid lane, want to try and potentially get something going, want to try and fight before the dragon spawns even. Or they could look for an opportune moment to steal it away. Porp goes to half health. Muta on the side though. Remember how much damage he did last fight, and he's only gotten stronger. So keep your eyes on the cork. He's on Porp. Gets the engagement, goes straight through. The team gets the fear on the end, but he could be the first victim. Carlson flashing forward. Ace in the hole gets the kill. As Set now stepping up, trying to get some more going.
Ooh.
Won't be able to do so as Singularity move away, but their health bars are pretty low. Need to move forward, looking for the snipe, but it's 5 members of Astralis, 4 members of Singularity. Press moving forward, gets the kill onto the Jinx, onto BK. There's the Soul coming through as well. This fight has just become insurmountable as Wendell takes down another Tati. Has to flash not to go the same way as Muta flies into the distance. But Astralis, they get the Dragon Soul and they can move towards the next objective, which has to be the Baron.
Yeah, it has to be the Baron, and I think if you're speaking realistically here, that was probably the final nail in the coffin, that Chemtech Soul. We finally get to see it on the Rift. I don't know if we'll even get to see it in action in all reality. I'm not sure if SNG will be able to secure another kill, given the current state of the game. We'll have to see. Potential big words coming from me, but we get a replay of this fight. And yeah, Port kind of just goes a little bit ham. You know, he's got all the speed ups, but he hits one person with the pit. And that's the extent of the engage. And you can see here, Carlson trying to eye up an angle there. Almost finds it, doesn't quite get onto Zipki, but look at the damage that comes out from Muta, man. You have to really respect the Corki if you are Astralis, but that's all you really have to respect. It has to be said from the side of SNG, as there you see Jinx just gets absolutely obliterated. Krez, so much freedom to just kind of do what he just did in both Wendelbo and Chrisberg. Flash over the wall to try and pick up more kills, as Baron wasn't actually taken down off the back of that fight.
It wasn't, no.
Which is a bit of a surprise, but I mean, at the end of the day, when you're this far ahead, when you've got a Chemtech Soul, you can do whatever the hell you like as Astralis talent. SNG, it's kind of weird that this is only a 5k gold lead, because it feels so much larger in reality.
And I mean, that cool they was just go back, reset, spend that gold, and get ready for the next play. They probably asked Taxa, should we do Baron? He's like, nah, I've watched the first 2 games. Let's not start up that objective, because I don't want to be giving it away to Porp. And Singularity are in a deep, deep hole. It might feel deeper than it actually is in terms of gold, but these fights, it's going to be so difficult. Yepe going to be engaged onto taking a decent amount of damage. He's already dead, and Tati on the side. Is that enough for them to start up the Baron, or are they going to want to just try and take down some towers instead?
I mean, they can kind of do whatever they want here. The Baron's not really a necessity to close this game out, to be totally honest with you. It's more of a, a final bit of security here as Krez onto Muta.
Please be careful, actually. A lot of damage coming out of that cork. You've got to respect, and Krez is going to back away slightly better off in the trade, but not significantly, and Baron will be started up by Astralis now. You've got to imagine this one going down pretty quickly with a Lee Sin and a Caitlyn.
Yeah, especially Caitlyn, 3 items. Caitlyn, traditionally not, the highest DPS champion in the game, but so much burst, and with 3 items on that Baron, very quick. Yeah, Port, almost 100 to 0 there. Vision, no ace in the hole can be found, so I mean, with Porp out of the fight, I mean, it's effectively a free and secure Baron nonetheless. SNG. Oh, Rocket. No blocks. All right, well, there you go. Baron secured by Astralis talent. And you have to imagine now, it's all about converting for Astralis and for SNG. Probably thinking about next week. Thinking about where they went wrong here in this game. It is unfortunate to say. It's definitely been a bit of a disappointing opening week for SNG, but I think definitely, positive points to talk about. Most definitely Muta.
I'm going to question that, actually. Is this a disappointing first week for Singularity? Because expectations across the board for this roster taking it less, well, that is a lot of damage, that is in the hole, but Their performance on Monday, damn it. Their performance on Monday was exceptional. They took the game so close, with a backdoor being the solution to win against the Finnier side. Astralis, you know that this is one of those probably top 4 teams, probably trying to fight for top 2, wanting to be in one of those 2 European Masters slots. Come on.
Okay, sure.
But
Maybe a tad harsh. Maybe a tad harsh. But
yeah, and like you look at Muta's played exceptionally well. You look at yesterday, Tattoo had an exceptional game when he was playing up against Vanir on Monday, not yesterday. And yeah, there will be question marks. Polp and Yepe haven't had the strongest first week performances, but they can come into games where there are other teams who haven't had great performances. The Ricky haven't had super strong performances. Eminem have struggled a little bit as well. So when we see Singularity up against these kind of teams that are also a bit slower to start off, that's where you can start saying, if they lose that, we can be disappointed.
yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. For sure. Astralis, you know, like you said, a team expected to finish for top 2, to go for those EUM spots here as a... Was that one rocket onto Chrisberg? Oh my... Oh! Okay.
Ooh, that was a bigger rocket.
That was a bigger rocket, yeah. Almost finds Chrisberg there. I mean, had Flash, had heal, saw it coming from a mile away, so if he died to that, that would have certainly been quite strange. Quite strange for Chrisberg. But Elder spawns in 55 seconds here. SNG's potential last war cry to try and make a comeback into this game. But with that Chemtech Soul, it's a 5v10. I don't know what else to say. It's a 5v10 versus multiple members who are super fed. And when they get that zombie form, they're just going to be a complete nuisance when they resurrect. Assuming kills even come down as Muta, chunked out, does have the Ravenous Hydra though. So we'll be able to vamp back up. And I'm curious, does Muta have package waiting in base? He has to, I'm pretty sure. But Astralis...
I don't think he does, looking at it.
Astralis not too fast right now, pushing up the mid lane because SNG nowhere to be found. They're potentially collapsing in. I'm sure Astralis scratching their heads. Where are they, guys? Where are they? What's going on? I'm not sure if they looked over any vision. I can't see any pings right now. I think it's complete fog for Astralis, so they got to walk back through the Chemtech fog. And you can see Hepe, they're waiting for it.
But they don't win the fight, is the problem. Singularity have set up the ambush, but look at the damage that's coming through. They can't do anything. Muta is going to struggle to get involved, and it's just that straightforward for Astralis. Teleport into the base. They're chasing SPK and Yepe away. Muta is going to have to run back to try and get on top of Carlson, but the rest of his team is going to fall by the wayside. Chrisberg looking to smite out and snipe out the Jinx for one more stack on that. Criminals apprehended. And now it looks like it's the base. Muta actually managed to get the zombie on to the Victor, so we do get to see the soul. The soul was useful, Jamada. There we go.
It cleared a couple of creeps, and that might help Carlson finish the game out. Actually, no, I mean, they'll end because the death timers are so long, but it's going to be a bit of a slow burner, unfortunately, for SNG. We'll see, maybe they come out and propose some pretty heroic defense here as Tatui and Porp, they were the first to die, first to respawn. Package is available, but Muta's a little whiles away from respawning. They're going for it.
Fine, actually, we'll be able to get on to Chrisberg with Tatui just getting melted through. Porp has nothing. Yepe's there, puts down the lantern, but will not be able to save Hexgrim, who dies in his arms. And now it's Fresh versus 4. I don't think he's got anything to say. SPK is there, can put down a little bit of damage. Taxa kicks him back into the team. He's going to be deleted. Yepe stands on the steps, sits and watches as Astralis go undefeated in week 1. Singularity sent back to the map without a win.
Yeah, Astralis talent with another commanding win, you know, a lot faster paced than Monday's performance. Yes. And I think, you know, like, of course, Gorborg asked for, and we received. So I'm excited to see that actually come out from Astralis. I'm glad that we're not going to get this super resident sleeper play style, you know, every game. That being said, you know, SNG, they didn't really put up a crazy amount of fight. I think they had the snap from, you know, the Thresh, the Hecarim at level 6 to maybe try and abuse this Lux Caitlyn lane. But when it came down to it, they just didn't, right? And once Caitlyn got those first 2 kills, even after she gave over a shutdown to that level 6 setup, it didn't really matter because they started moving her around the map. They dropped the Herald on the bottom side. That freed her up. And from there, it gave a bridge, unfortunately, to Krez to eventually also come online and deal all of this damage. And unfortunately, yeah, SNG, it felt like outside of those first 10 minutes, they didn't really have much of a game plan other than stall and try and let Muta actually play the game.
I think it was an exceptional performance for Astralis. As we said, they did everything that they needed to do. For Singularity, there were shining moments again. Muta once again was an exceptional performer. So, what do you think that there's any possibility that Singularity, from what you've seen from Singularity, just very quickly before we throw to a break, do you think that there's promise for them to come in against some of these weaker teams and get a result?
I think building around Muir inside of these drafts, maybe from at least given this week one performance, that doesn't mean shut out the ability for Tatui to play these sort of bruiser carries, or on the bottom side for Key to play something like the Jinx and Hyperscale, or play some of these other strong AD carries. But right now, at least going for week one, Tatui didn't really get to show much. The AD carry didn't really get to show much, and I think Muir was by far and away the best performer. So try and play through him moving into week two, and see what you can get, because obviously very talented. We unfortunately saw him, get his playtime cut in summer, but this time starting from the beginning should be able to finish. I'm excited for him, but SNG, they have to pull it together.
We'll have to see if they can do so. We're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, it's going to be interviews and desks, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.